Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way.
Welcome to Night After Night, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I am Lisa Fernandes and...
I'm Chris Jayawardena.
And we're here with episode Once Upon a Rumor, written by Holly Mascott and directed by Howard Storm. Now, do you know what Howard Storm also directed?
I don't know, but I'm going to look this up this time because that name is deathly familiar.
Yeah, I can. You're going to laugh when you see what he directed.
Let's see here. Well, hey, one interesting thing is he also went on to direct episodes of Kenan and Kel.
Yeah.
But he also did. Wow, this dude did television.
Look at his movie credit.
Once Bitten.
Yes.
Nice.
Once Bitten, the legendary Once Bitten, Lauren Hutton, and Jim Carrey, a very early Jim Carrey role.
Yep.
Currently a cult classic.
Wow.
I knew
awesome.
The once you saw that, you go, yeah. And here's the plot. Yeah, he's good. That's a darn good movie. Watch that movie. It's fun. It's fun and ridiculous, kids. Enjoy it. And here is the plot. Squiggy fixes the zipper on Shirley's skirt one afternoon in the break room, having gained experience from working at his uncle's dry cleaning business one summer. After negotiating down from a drive-in date to $1 as a reward, the situation becomes a little bit messy when Lenny walks in and sees Shirley as she puts her skirt back on. He presumes that Squiggy got lucky with Shirley and labels him a hero as no one's gotten that far with Shirley before, in quote-unquote. After Squiggy fails to dissuade Lenny's impression that he and Shirley went all the way, Lenny spreads a rumor around that Shirley and Squiggy went all the way, presuming that Shirley only did so because she's crazy about Squiggy. The rumor mutates and results in Shirley's developing a reputation as a fun date, which eventually makes her very popular and endangers both her safety and her spotless reputation. As Laverne digs up the truth about the rumor after being tipped off by Jerry Callahan, the upstairs neighbor she has a crush on, Shirley dodges hands and heavy breathers, and has to come to Squiggy to demand he clear things up. But Squiggy's reluctant to clear the air because for the very first time in his life, people are looking up to him. So what do you think of this episode?
I mean, the main thing I would say is, rumor episodes are one of those, again, kind of hit or miss. Part of this is just because I think a lot of my fundamental memories about rumor spreading come from grade school. And those weren't fun because some of those were about me or about people I knew, and mistruth always bugs me. But that being said, there's something kind of pitiful about Squiggy because, for once, people are kind of paying attention to him, and also pitiful to some extent about Shirley because you realize that the world is such a smutty, terrible place that the only reason she's going to get inundated with dates, even though she's a very attractive and very sweet and very, precious woman, is simply because she's they think, oh, she's an easy, cheap lay. And that is very unfortunate. But in terms of the execution of the episode, I mean, there's a lot of wonderful aspects about it that, the characters are really interesting. In the sense of I like that it gives a little bit more to Lenny and Squiggy solo, getting to see them interact a bit more with each other. I really enjoy the fact that Laverne's kind of investigation of her having to deduce what's going on. And more than anything, this is a facial expression episode. This is where the faces are amazing. I mean, when the first time you see Lenny walk in on the moment in the first 10 minutes, that is it's good. Michael, you're so good. You're so good, man.
So good. Yes. That is my refrain as I walk through this show again. He's so good. He's so good. This is another really good episode for me. What's interesting to me about this is that it was written by a woman. And you can tell what she's trying to tell us here about how it's not fair. Guys get a positive reputation from a situation like this, and girls have to suffer for it. And while that's a very old-fashioned kind of point of view, especially even nowadays, it'll happen, and that's a sad thing. And I love the way, once again, you see Laverne trying to walk through fire to protect Shirley in a way. She's going everywhere, trying to figure out what the heck's going on. And then it circles around once they figure out what's going on. And when Shirley can't appeal to Squiggy's sense of fairness, they go get Carmine and say, hey, take my Carmine, just beat the crap out of him. But then even in the end, it's ultimately about a decision that Squiggy has to make and go, oh yeah, even in the end, it's not worth it. Even with the threat, even minus the threat of Carmine beating the crap out of him, he has come to the realization that, oh yeah, this is bad. I'm hurting this girl.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's the interesting. This is one of those kind of situational comedy type situations where, in reality, like, and I think that's, I guess, part of the reason why this episode, like, kind of works and kind of doesn't is because, like, I have the two sides of my brain fighting over it. The one that doesn't want to take it too seriously is like, haha, that's funny. Whereas the more serious side, I mean, especially like when it comes to like Shirley coming back from the date and he's like, he assaulted me, is like, that freaks me out. It's so like, ugh.
Yeah.
And even the violence that's threatened is played off as very cute, whereas in reality, it's like you're about to commit physical violence, and I mean, Carmine's a big boy. This is he's got some meat on those arms that could definitely be tenderizing some face holes.
He punches sides of beef for a living.
Right, but
he actually does. He's a Golden Gloves boxer still in canon at this point. So,
oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
That's gonna come up next episode.
Nice.
Sorry,
just to finish the point though, is that it's I think what's interesting is that it's written very broad, which I think is a great way for them to discuss these kind of heavier topics.
Yeah.
Under the guise of being, just cute, throwaway sitcom, which, it is and it isn't. And it's and yeah, just there's the execution of it is done, I think, rather carefully. I think Howard did a decent job with directing this episode to make sure that it was it's not any too much one way, because it's treated very matter of fact. So at least that was my general overview take on it.
This show is a lot of things, and sometimes it is feminist, but the worst thing it does is the date rape humor. There is, like, multiple instances of date rape humor in the show, and it has not aged well. It wasn't funny in the 70s. It isn't funny now. In fact, it's aged even worse, in a way. But this is even a part of the show's, what I unfortunately call the show's date rape trioca. It's just an unfortunate, like, continued theme where, ha ha ha, funny. It's funny because I don't know why it's funny. We're all supposed to take it seriously, so.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's an episode in season 6 that basically, like, stomps on characterization just to get this kind of humor out of it, and it's bad. I don't know why they lean this way, unless Gary Marshall was kind of like going to that, like, burlesque, broad, Catskills kind of sense of humor, where it's like, supposed to be, this is hilarious because reasons. I don't know why it's a recurring theme, but it is a recurring theme, and it's unfortunate, especially because the show is so much in favor of female independence. It's so much in favor of a woman having the right to choose her future. And to have this be a recurring, it just comes up and coming up over and over again, season after season after season after season. It is just, it's gross. It's still gross. It gets grosser as time goes on, unfortunately. And it culminates in season 8. But, it's just, whenever I think about it, it's just unfortunate the way they treat rape and attempted rape, date rape in the show. Okay.
Yeah, because exactly, it's a feeling that. I mean, as I've, you and I both, we watch a lot of stuff that's old. We like stuff from multiple different eras, and so we watch, like pulp art. We love, you and I have shared with each other tons of like pulp magazines and stuff like that.
We're both Evil Dead fans.
And exactly, yeah. I mean, we're Evil Dead fans, which is like one of the most controversial, horror films of its time during the video nasty era. With regards to its sexualized violence in the first movie. So, yeah.
Which Sam Raimi, by the way, says he regrets. We're going to put that out there. Sam said he regretted it. And then Fede doubled down on it in the remake, so. But anyway, go ahead.
But the point being is just that it's like, there is often this feeling that you have to. it reminds me of how like there's this feeling like you can't go too much one way or another because it has to come back to things, And I think, and I do wonder, during the 70s, during the time when this came out, I mean, that's one of the weird things about grindhouse movies, and the kind of B movies that were coming out. And this isn't, regardless of whether it was like the extreme stuff like Last House on the Left, or it was actually even sometimes the funny stuff like the Hicksploitation, or what you call it, sex comedies. That there would always be this element where there was an objectification in media of women, and that was just how media did that. Even though even sometimes some of these people that would be making these projects or would be involved or take or imbibe it like a intoxicant wouldn't even always necessarily do that. It just was so prevalent. And I mean, my mom has told me so many stories about this era, about how, because she felt really discouraged from being independent, from having agency, and she still struggles even with her own perspective about herself and about other women because of that. So it is just something that's constantly prevalent. It's weird to take this little a rather cute episode, but it does unfortunately in the middle of the episode it has to hit on that note and then turn it into not only does it a joke and then double, like it doesn't even necessarily need to be that far. Just still make the joke where Shirley comes back in disguise with the wig and the glasses and that's funny.
That's adorable.
That's adorable. And it still works as a joke even without her getting molested. All it has to be is just that it was a misunderstanding and that either he gets really upset or he if I was to write the scene I would have doubled down and actually have been where he starts going like, okay, so I guess it's not as easy as I thought. So what is it you do like that? And he starts like naming off all these different things, and it's like, can I get your pet? Do you like cats? Can I get you a cat? Can I get you a poodle? Just that type of, it needs that element of absurdity to sell that joke. The date rape joke is not absurdity. That's just gross.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, and we'll get deeper into this as it goes on, as the series continues. But yeah, it's messy. It's the worst part of the show in a lot of ways, and it's an unfortunate thing. It's just, I don't know what they were thinking. I do not know what they were thinking. Okay, I was going to say that this is like the first episode where you kind of get to see the guys and the girls kind of pairing off in a way. This is the first episode where you get Shirley and Squiggy are together. People think they are together, and that's another one of those great facial takes we were talking about when Laverne just goes to Shirley, "Are you in love with Squiggy?" And she just slowly turns her face towards the camera with her expression completely frozen. Like it's the most horrifying thing she can imagine. Is being in love with this man.
Mm-hmm.
And then, on your side note, Laverne has to go to Lenny to try to pump the truth about the rumor out of him. And she does. And ultimately, because he's completely gearless. He's a horrible gossip, apparently, but he's completely gearless. And you will see the gossipy side surface deeper into the show, but it's not a note that gets stricken a lot with him. But it's interesting that she is the one who can get him to say the truth. She's the one who's like, you come here, you tell me what the hell happens. And then he just, he comes out with it. And then she's the one also who points out that Squiggy's the one who's been screwing him over basically with the rumor. He's the one who lied to him. He didn't tell the truth. And then you get kind of also his innocence on his innocence. Where he's like, well, the only reason they'd be doing this is because they're crazy about one another.
Yeah, he wasn't even thinking that Shirley was... Yeah, he doesn't think Shirley's easy. He thinks that they have a thing, that they're in love. So, that's something stupidly, childishly innocent.
Yeah. And then somehow it mutated into her being, easy. The way everybody, if I just ask her out, I'll just get something. And that's how it shows how the rumor mill works. And it shows how... this dichotomy between the boys wanting to be these big swingers, but they also are diehard romantics in a weird way. They are definitely diehard romantics in the weirdest of ways. Like, as I told, I think you and our friend Shotsets, shout out to her, on Twitter, is that Lenny's default mode is to propose. His default mode is to try to grab the girl, drag her home before it's too late.
Well, I was just gonna say it's like okay, I did something right. Don't screw this up. Just make sure and the thing. And to him, not screw up is put a ring on it and get back home.
Yeah, get back home. Have my babies. That's the end of it. Then there's a reason for this. It will come out roughly season 3. Yes, it is season 3. The episode is in season 3. And when you hear this information, it will click for you. You kind of go, aha, that's why. And then this continues to be his thought line. I don't know if this is Michael's idea. I don't know if it was the writers. I don't know if it was director motivated. This thought line goes with him all the way through season 6, where he's dating a girl who is a student, is a very bright college student, and thinks he's very nice and very innocent and charming, and they have a nice relationship, and it's one of his very first important serious relationships. And when she says, "I have to go to New York to continue my studies," he's like, "Okay, I'll pack up and go with you." That's the kind of guy he is. And that's just that's the kind of romantic that he is, and this is what you see the seeds being planted here. The only reason people have sex is because they're crazy about one another. In a way, even though he's also the guy who has witnesses to the loss of his virginity, allegedly, according to what he tells Laverne later in a few episodes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm doing the brow furrowing again. Yeah. Just witnesses. Dear Lord.
Yeah. Witnesses. Yeah, because this is what happens. She gets mad at them because they were making fun of her because she can't drive. This is the first episode of season 2. And she goes, "If you tell anybody this, I'll tell everybody that you never vote. And Lenny sticks his head through the window, kneels down, and goes, "Oh yeah, I have witnesses." That's his return line.
Oh my gosh.
Considering that, when he and Squiggy do open that apartment, yeah, you can imagine the witnesses. That's the interesting dichotomy of these boys between the romantic feelings and the actual what they do on a Friday night.
Right.
So, it's very, very interesting in a way.
So I wonder.
I don't think the show meant to be interesting, but it is.
Yeah. That was another thing I remember noticing, speaking about that dichotomy or that split, the kind of inner conflict is when I watched the episode for the first time, I noticed it felt like Squiggy having this thought in his mind, like he wanted to believe the rumor, he wanted to believe the lie that there was something going on, because the idea of getting to have someone as kind of so pretty and cute and sweet as Shirley, as someone so nice to pay attention to him, is something that he so desperately wanted that he would take it even if it was a lie. Yeah.
Yeah. And in a way, he's looking for this girl who is too good to bring home to his mother, so to speak.
Okay.
Is what he's looking for. He's looking for the kind of girl who's classy and kind and sweet and pure in her own way, which is why he goes after Shirley, which is why she's his last chance at a short woman, as he says in a few seasons. He looks at her and seems to see the opposite of the drama that's happened at his home, which we will address when we do High Neighbor. And he seems to look at her and he sees this nice girl who is probably too good for him and probably would never agree to do anything with him. At one point, she literally says that even if they were the last 2 people on Earth, she would not touch him. Which is... Laverne never says that about Lenny, by the way. That never comes up.
Yeah, okay, I can see the steam coming right out of the top of that ship there. Okay, yeah, it's preparing to undock and head out.
I'm not downward comparing things. I'm not downward comparing things. Trust me. But yet she literally does say this about him. The way she is kind of like deeply repulsed by him. She's deeply repulsed by Squiggy. And yet she feels fondness for him. There's kind of like a sense of similarity between them, and it's not just a height thing. There's a sense of camaraderie between them that will develop over the seasons. And Squiggy has a divided point of view on her. In that as the show moves on, he thinks that she's absolutely in love with him. And he has to be careful with her because she wants to tie him down. And he doesn't want to be tied down, but he also wants to be around her. So. And he can't stand to see her depressed and yearning after him, so he throws her bones by kissing her. That becomes a thing later on in the series. That's how the difference between the way he looks at her and the way she looks at him.
Yeah.
The way these two separate sets of best friends, in a way, and the way their relationships change over time. By the time we get to California, and they're the only familiar things within viewing distance of one another. Ultimately, the depth of the friendships really, really, really comes to the surface. And you really, in the end, they stop being those guys that are so horrifying to them. For a while, there's like, they're the most horrible things in the world. I do not want to spend any more time with them. I hope
things do. Well, I was just going to say things do change, when they're the only slice of home you have left around you.
Yeah. We'll get to that down the line. Like I said, we'll get to it. But yeah, I like to explain the differences in what ultimately the fandom has like 3, maybe 4 main ships that they go back to a lot, and the differences between the 3 of them are pretty distinct. Shirley and Squiggy would have great hate sex. We all know this. I mean, look at the 2 of them. They would have great hate sex. They regret it for the rest of their life. Shirley especially would regret it for the rest of her life. But it would be probably phenomenal sex. That's the truth.
Oh, boy.
With Carmine and Shirley, it's a lot more innocent. It's fairy princess. They've known one another since grade school. They dated all the way through high school. And they keep coming back to one another, even though they don't know if they want forever. But they kind of do want forever, but they don't.
Yeah, probably have a couple of deal breakers either in the bedroom or in the kitchen.
And maybe that would work out long term, but the 2 of them would kind of have to wake up and either start seeing each other as human beings instead of seeing each other as fairy tale figures up on the mantle. Because he's pretty much Galahad for her in a lot of episodes, and she is this nice, dainty girl who is always there in a way. And whenever she tries to step out and say, "Hey, I'm going to go date this guy," he gets a little touchy. Especially, season 3 or season 4, he becomes like really possessive. And you see a little bit of it like in this episode where they go to Carmine, to try to deal with the Squiggy problem, so to speak.
And it's interesting how quickly and how assuredly he deals with it, because, and I mean, it's not that I don't think he can, it's that he's the kind of person that there is almost this air of entitlement of like, hey, you're hurting her feelings. You're not supposed to do that. Again, it kind of, it's like I was saying before, when the introduction of Carmine is he talks like this. He's kind of it is a very stereotypical macho Italian, stereotype, especially of that 70s post Godfather era and the wave of the 70s crime movies, where that was the image of Italian Americans. And but it comes off as very like, not in a, I'm a friend, or even like, it's not good that you did this to a person. It's that you did it to Shirley, and that's my Shirley, I guess is what I mean. And so that's how at least it came off to me. Yeah.
They are both the sweetest, most romantic couple with some really nice, beautiful moments. And yet there's an episode in season 4 where the 2 of them have taken an agreed break, and he literally pays Lenny money to spy on Shirley while she's out of town.
Oh no, they do one of those. Okay. Yeah.
It's like that's coming in season 4. It's a great episode though. Although it's a great episode, but it's kind of like shoehorned in because they don't seem to know what to do with Lenny. So Lenny's running around taking pictures and going, Hey, did I ever tell you how close Shirley and Carmine are? He's there to keep her from, having too much fun. And then he
Right.
ruins things later on. My feelings about Carmine continue to be embattled for a lot of reasons. One of the main reasons is that it's okay for him to go hang around with widows and take favors and hang around with all these women and take their money and go out on dates. But the second Shirley looks at another guy, he becomes a jealous baby. And that bugs me. It bugs me. And yet they have such cute moments. There's a lot of really, really cute, sweet moments. And then you get this weird stuff that happens where he is literally sitting there with her, saying that he loves her and all this stuff. But then they nearly go all the way like twice in canon. They literally make sex dates that almost happen, almost come off, and Laverne ruins it twice.
Nice.
Okay.
Wow.
And yet, over down in season 6, he starts whining that she's frigid, and it makes no sense to me. Yeah,
that sounds like writer inconsistency. Because if they didn't have a book they were working, which I think we discussed, they didn't have a book they were working off of, then they're going to have probably notes, and the notes are going to contradict what prior episodes have done to evolve things. Yeah,
and when you have these actor conflicts that were going on, because Michael and Dave were obviously very attached to Lenny and Squiggy. Those are their boys. They literally said, David, I think, says this in the biography, that this is their boys. They were doing it for the boys, trying to protect those characters, make sure they were the same characters that they'd created. So they had their flesh in the game. And then you had all the dumb interpersonal conflicts that were happening, the conflicts with the writers, and the conflicts with the directors, and everybody fighting everybody else. So you didn't have somebody going, hey, this isn't continuity. You said this, now you're saying that. It's like, even in a show that's less dramatic, like Golden Girls, you will have inconsistencies that develop over time, even with a show book. They didn't develop a show book for Golden Girls, I think, until like season 6 or 5. People can feel free to contradict me on that one, because I'm not entirely sure. I've read that in the Golden Girls Forever book. But yeah, you get this happening, you get these inconsistencies, but then that becomes a thought line for season 6 and season 7. And it becomes part of the Flanderization process. I don't know if I should explain Flanderization again.
No. I think, that we prior episode explained Flanderization, and also TV tropes.
Yes.
TV tropes.
TV tropes. Look stuff up, kids. Look stuff up.
Yes, join us in the hellish dungeons that is tvtropes.org.
Speaking of, the Laverne and Shirley TV tropes section needs to be edited. Desperately needs to be edited. Needs a bunch of new info. So if any of you guys out there are tropers, please go in and add in stuff, because those pages are not as fulsome as they could be.
And
they really could be more fulsome.
We don't have the time. I don't have the time.
Gosh, I don't have the time either. I don't either. But yeah, when we go back to the 3 main ships. On the other hand, you see Laverne go through all of these dates with all these guys. She gets very close to actual true love, like twice. Like twice.
Good for her. That's not bad. Yeah. That ain't bad.
She has like 4 steady boyfriends. Of those 4 steady boyfriends, 2 of them are actually good people. We'll say that.
Yeah, that'll happen. Not going to be happy about it when we get there, but that I also understand that will happen.
Yeah. To one of them is just the result. The character is developed for like 5 episodes, gets dropped because the actor got another job, a better job on another series. So he just disappears and nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it.
So are you saying he jumped ship?
Yep. Right off the ship. Right off the ship and into a police cruiser.
Good for, okay.
Good for Ed Marino. Just to spoil y'all. Good for Ed Marino. But, yeah, you see all this happen, but none of these guys, except for one of them, proposes to her. Lenny proposes to Laverne 3 freaking times, kids. 3 freaking times in canon. And then there are 2 fantasy sequences where they almost get married.
Man, that's...
So, like...
They pushed hard for that.
Yeah. They pushed hard for it, yet Penny and Michael are on record pretty much that what Gary wanted was for the boys to be on the show and to be kind of lower down on the rung than Laverne and Shirley. But Penny thought that they were supposed to end up being the girls' last-ditch dates, and in a way, the boys are the girls' last-ditch dates repeatedly throughout the show.
Mm-hmm. So they're still living up to it. It's just I guess it'd be an interesting thing to see if they ever reimagine the show, because we have this tendency now, I think, with sitcoms and with a lot of these ongoing series to show character development and the idea of you start with someone who is flawed that works to better themselves over the course of the show, and to see them evolve. And I wonder if that's something that would happen, because it is true, if you think of the scope of Laverne and Shirley, like, I guess what I mean is the characters as they are in season 1, maybe, season 2. I haven't seen really any of season 2 as far as I know.
No, not yet.
That they would be the last ditch dates, or they would be they're on the bottom rung. But if you gave it that time to allow them to grow, to allow them to like figure out if they're going to go to college, or if they're going to get a better job, or they're going to go to night school, if they're going to, be kind of get their heads out of their butts to figure out, okay, I am not happy with where I am. I want to move forward. And that the girls could even inspire them, or the people around them could inspire them. The job could inspire them, and to see something like that. But anyway, that's kind of the long...
That comes up around season 4 before the girls. Because Shirley's constantly trying to improve her station at her job, and constantly trying to move up the rung, either through marrying up or trying to get a better position. And it becomes a cultural conflict because Laverne either doesn't have the ambition or doesn't have the ability. And, it turns out my best friend is my boss, oh no.
Dear.
A couple of times. But we'll get there. But yeah, I know that probably wasn't an intent. If it wasn't an intent, they definitely left the door open repeatedly. And they pretty much end a season 7 with a skit where they play alternate universe versions of themselves, and they end up together, and they end up getting married. And it's happy, and it's requited. So if they didn't intend to strike that note, they struck that note all the way through the series, all the way through into season 8, where he literally looks at her as they're sending out Shirley's wedding invitations and goes, "We can go to Vegas and get married by midnight." So...
That's a very Lenny Kozlowski thing to say.
Yeah. Oh, he does it because he wants to win a bet between him and Squiggy about which one of the girls will get married first.
Oh, God.
But on the other hand, the other 2 have nothing to do with that, and you've seen Look Before You Leap, so you've seen part of season 2, right?
Yes, that's right. I've seen most of Look Before You Leap. Yeah, my mom and I watched that while you were live tweeting it. That was very sweet.
That's one of my favorite. That is my favorite episode. Period. But so you have seen a little bit of it. But,
and that's the thing that was genuine character development that I would love to see expanded on. At the very least, even if it just remains a friendship, to just see the friendship evolve. And
it does.
Good.
You're in for a treat.
Awesome.
It changes a lot. You go in season 1 from her saying she turns to Lenny in Hi Neighbor, and she goes to him, "Lenny, he's your only friend," about Squiggy. Then you end up in season 6. She's moved in with a boyfriend of hers. He's shown up to protest this on religious grounds of all things. They're both the same religion. They're both Roman Catholic. Right. And he says, if I love a girl, really, really love the girl, I'd ask her to marry me. And he's asked her to marry him twice so far. And she says, "You would?" And he goes, "Yeah, what kind of guy do you think I am?" And she goes, "You're a terrific guy." So that's development. "You're a terrific man," that is actually is the line.
Aw.
So,
wow. That's the evolution there. He's evolving. He's level 3 because it's a boy, it's a guy, and it's a man.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's how it changes over time, and that is why people go nuts for it. There's people absolutely go nuts for that relationship, and they actually are probably more into it than anything that becomes canon, and more into it than anything gets destroyed by canon. We're getting there. We're getting to season 8. But yeah.
Well, at the very least, it's interesting then to see that, you know, we've already seen these sort of echoes of where it's starting to come in. But yeah, as we're, you know, we're covering this episode Once Upon a Rumor, that is, you know, I guess it's kind of it starts a little laying a little bit of that groundwork there of like what could be done, what can be done. Yeah, but it is interesting. I'm not the most shippiest of guys when it comes to my interests. I mean, but don't get me wrong, when something clicks, it clicks hard. I'm still like, you know, I still get mad about certain things, like Battlestar Galactica and deciding to give an obstacle to Lee and Kara, which still mad. Oh. You don't marry your drinking buddy, Kara Thrace. Don't do that. But
I can mention what gets me mad still. You want to hear my mad ones? Go on.
You go ahead and go with one. I already named one. I'm just gonna leave it at one.
Do you guess what mine are? Guess what mine are.
I don't know why my brain is drawing a blank. Because yeah, we have discussed this over the nearly 9 years we've known each other.
Yeah, God, it's been 9 years. Yeah, it has been.
Yeah, because I think it'll be December of this year. I think.
Yeah, that's right. I'm coming up on I'm like over 20 years with Bethy. Shout out to Bethy. I'm almost I'm way over 10 with Becky. So that would be about right. Yes. Yeah, that'd be about right.
But in terms of the ones I would figure you would. I mean, unfortunately I wish I could guess, but I think my brain is getting kind of fried. It is very warm in my recording space over here, so I think my brain is overheating.
Soon it will be cooler.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, here it's about to snow. Welcome to global warming, kids.
Yeah, seriously. I can't think of it. I have like the 4 shows that I think of that, you know, we connect on, which is like, aside from this, is like Burn Notice, Gallivant, Ash versus the Evil Dead, and
Ash versus the Evil Dead is just a mess.
Yeah, it's just a mess. That didn't even need any ship dynamics to make it a disaster.
What made me the most upset when it came to stuff that became canon ship-wise, Ted and Robin was bullshit, and How I Met Your Mother. Everybody knows this. It's a universal truth, and it ruined the show for me, and it ruined the show for hundreds of thousands of people. And there's a reason why it's currently playing at 3 a.m. on Nick at Night. Hint. Nobody wants to actually watch it. Okay?
Right.
And my other one...
when you put it on at the Bob Newhart slot, then, oh boy.
Yeah. Poor Bob Newhart. He deserved better. Bob Newhart. They did play them then. Play them at that time slot. Laverne and Shirley got like the 3 a.m., 4 a.m. slot just before they got kicked off the network, I think. Which was way back in almost 09. I can't remember. I have to ask my Block Party Summer folks.
I looked that up. So my understanding was, the run was from 98, which means I would have been 11 or 12. And it ended in, at least they completed the run, they said in 2003, but I think they said it ran, like 2005 to 2009, I think. I'd have to double check. I'm going to...
and I think it was that to 2003, and then it got booted to TV Land. And then TV Land, it ran for a while. And then from TV Land, it went to Lifetime. And then from Lifetime, it went to, where did it go? Oh, where did it run after Lifetime? Lifetime edits were really butchered hardcore, but they did play the pot episode. The infamous pot episode. Pot and cocaine episode.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you told me you told me about this. 98 to 2001 for the first initial run, and 2003 to 2009 on Nick at Night.
Okay, there we go.
Yep.
There we go.
I did my part. I researched. Anyway.
After that, it was MeTV, and I know now it's on Logo. But anyway, yes. We got way failed. Yeah, we got way off the rails. I think I don't even know if we're in the same forest at this point. We might be in another country. We might need to make sure we have our passports. We're in Latvia. Somewhere in Latvia. Beautiful Latvia. Latveria, maybe. Hi, Dr. Doom. Anyway.
Oh, wow. Okay. Gonna bring Marvel Comics into this. Okay. Oh, okay.
Please don't sue us, Disney. We don't have any money. Anyway.
Well, it's just I just have to dodge that enough with my friends Vanessa and Paul whenever they bring up comics on the Let's Play channel. So, anyway.
My other one, was Luann Platter on King of the Hill has this long, beautiful arc where she realizes that cutting hair isn't for her. She's supposed to go to college. She has a dream where she's told Jesus is meant for you to do something else. And the something else is for her to become a barber, even though the show tells her that she is horrible at being a barber. This is earlier canon. And then she falls in love with this redneck idiot named Lucky and has a kid with him. And becomes flanderized into being even dumber after showing all this great independence and moving into independence and moving out of Hank's house. And they ruined her character just to shove her with this dude so Tom Petty could be on the show. To be real.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man. Real. I love me some Tom Petty, but that ain't a good reason to get him on a show.
Tom Petty was a great VA artist. Tom Petty was great at the role. But Jesus, the character sucked.
Character
sucked. Sucked. And for this show, you know Shirley and Walter are coming, kids. You know Shirley and Walter are coming. You know how bad it is. But we'll get to them. We'll get to season 8. It's coming like a shark for us all.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that tweet. Anyway, but back to because we gotta finish up Once Upon a Rumor here.
I had points. I had more points.
Okay, good.
What's interesting about this episode is that the pizza bowl is way, way more rough and tumble than it becomes later on in the series. We have like Carmine singing. It becomes more of a family restaurant. Here, Frank breaks up a brawl and tries to stop two sailors from beating the crap out of each other. And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that was an unexpected little trade. I mean, I find that, with these types of shows, there's times, especially, and I'm noticing, especially as this is season 1, it's very difficult to kind of keep track of this, is that there's often a tone balance they're trying to figure out, and so they have to sometimes push it a little too far one way, push it a little too far the other way, to figure out where the middle is, how to meet in that middle.
Yeah. There's a lot of dichotomy between who Laverne and Shirley were and the Happy Days episodes, and by the way, we're either gonna spin around and get to those Happy Days episodes. Yeah, I thought that was interesting, but they have this dichotomy between that version of the girls who literally would beat each other up in a ladies' room because they were fighting over which one of them would be with Fonzie or Richie, and yet they have the girls who they are in the series, who are more innocent, kinder to each other, even though they occasionally slap each other across the face.
That's right. Yeah. We haven't gotten to that to cover that when that trait starts.
Yeah, I think that started in Falter at the Altar. I think.
Did it? It wasn't the simultaneous. Yeah, I think you're right. It might have been Falter at the Altar.
Yeah, that's when they simultaneously slap each other because Laverne's getting hysterical about the wedding, and then bam.
That's right.
Ooh, that's smarts.
Yeah.
I think that's where it happens. But that happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a show trait. That's a show staple. Yeah, but the show has to kind of like work out that balance. It hasn't quite worked out the balance of who the girls are in these new skins yet, in a way. Mm-hmm. Who they are among their friends and family.
Yeah, they're breaking in the new pair of shoes.
Yep. The new pair of shoes that apparently are their regrown hymens. Thank you, Penny Marshall. God bless you, Penny Marshall, wherever you are.
Mental image. Oh, God. Oh, Lisa, why?
She said it. It's her character.
No, but you didn't have to put it like it's a new pair of shoes. Now we just, oh, God, the body horror Cronenbergian. Oh, God.
I can think of a society. Why did you make me think of society?
The shunting. Hey, you know what? I am a butthead. Oh, thank you, Brian Usna. Awesome. Yes, come for Laverne and Shirley. Stay for the shipping discussions and body horror film discussion. There will be cake served at 4. You okay? You okay? We might need to trim some of that a little bit. Just a little bit.
That was fun. You kidding me? You gotta keep a lot of that in.
Oh my God.
A lot of it in. Okay, this is the first time we see Jerry Callahan, who is a writer who lives upstairs from the girls. We will see him again in season 2, but that's the end of us seeing him ever again. So what do you think of Laverne's crush on him and their interaction in this episode?
Not entirely unfounded, but unfortunate. Because I love that they do. This is a great jab at these educated kind of guys. Because it's a good. I guess it's a good jab at men. Is that
Yeah.
you know men have been raised in this environment of, well, you are the man, you are in charge, you are authority, you subjugate, you dominate, you are powerful, and you use this power constantly. You are entitled to what the power allows you. And when you have someone who becomes, quote unquote, a, turtleneck, patches on his jacket sleeve, on his jacket elbows, academic,
Yeah.
you would think that this is a way. It's just a skin. It's just to bring back the skin, the flesh, and the body horror and the leather face here. But
the new flesh.
Yes, long live the new flesh. There you go. But it's the. I need a second from that. Oh God. We're gonna keep that in anyway. The point is that he is trying to look as if he's this sweet, and maybe not sweet, nice. He's a nice guy. He's a good guy. And yet there still is clearly a predatory undercurrent and ulterior motive to him. That was what I should have just kind of gotten to.
Yeah.
A nice guy.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It becomes interesting in season 2 because of what Laverne does for him. And it'll come up, and you're going to see that note resurface once we get to that season. So, yeah.
I'm going to keep that in my back pocket then. Okay. All right. So
Remember that.
He also, I have to comment, he looks a lot like James LeGros in Phantasm 2.
I did not notice that. Now I'm going to have to think about that. I'm going to have to think about that next time I watch this episode, which I will watch it again. We are doing a Twitter rewatch, by the way, of the series in its entirety through the hashtag LNS Party. Usually every Tuesday, and that was every Wednesday. No. Yeah, it's every Wednesday. Usually every Wednesday around 8 p.m. Sometimes it's Thursday, depending on what's going on. But check out the hashtag. We do have fun there. But yes, I will see this again when I watch it. This is the first episode where it's mentioned that Lenny's in the Army Reserve, which is, it shouldn't be because he joins the Army Reserve in the next episode. This is aired out of order.
Right.
Right. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but
I did notice that. And I did like that he's got the injury on his finger because, this is probably the kind of guy that probably tried to unload the M1 Garand or tried to take it apart before it had properly cooled down.
Yep. Or he fired it and it backfired and it kicked right into his hand, which would also happen.
That's also true. Yeah, because your finger could get snapped in the trigger guard and all that kind of other stuff. I write noir movies. This is why I know these things.
He's the kind of guy who would want to play cowboys and Indians with the guns, but he would be horrible at actually killing somebody. I'm kind of amazed that he actually willingly joins the military in a lot of ways, especially because he is the kind of guy who can't stand to be in pain himself. You'll see that in season 3. He can't stand when putting other people in any kind of pain, except when it's like a little teasing stuff, between him and Laverne and the girls, and him and Squiggy when they're fighting. But you can't picture him being an efficient soldier in a way because of who he is. Yeah. Right. But he does this of his own volition. He joins the military of his own volition. And this was going to continue to be a plot point all the way through the series into season 5. It kind of gets dropped when they move to L.A. And there's a reason for that is because they tried to build a Lenny and Squiggy spinoff around this plot factor. I don't know if you knew that part of it. Did you hear about the attempted spinoff? I think I told you about the attempted spinoff.
You did. I don't know if we talked about this on the show, and I'm trying to think. Like, is this a good? I guess this is a good time because we see him in his uniform and everything. Yeah. About the idea of was it Lenny and Squiggy join the army?
Yep, Lenny and Squiggy joined the army. It was one of Gary Marshall's more military-centric kind of shows. He did a lot of little episodes for other shows about his, I think his own military experience. I think he was in the military at some point before becoming a comedy writer. I'll have to look that up. I'm not quite sure, but I think he was. The whole plot was going to be about Lenny was already in the military. He gets called up and told to ship out. So Squiggy joins so he won't leave him there, basically, so he can be with him. And that was going to be the spinoff. And it was going to be the two of them at an army camp trying to be a part of the corps. And in a way, I'm glad this didn't work because I can't imagine how you will eventually see in season 8 what the show was like with just Squiggy and no Lenny, basically for like the majority of the season, and it doesn't work without both of them there, and it wouldn't. The show probably wouldn't work with them both gone, and a Lenny and Squiggy pilot would probably be way too much frosting on top of the cake, so to speak. That's just my little opinion. It's never surfaced.
The other thing I'm also thinking of, just conceptually, is also the time period in which they're covering. Which I mean, this would have come after MASH, both the film and I think the TV show was getting started around the same time, right?
The pilot would have taken place roughly in it would probably be about 1963, 1964, which means if that series had kept on going, Lenny and Squiggy go to Vietnam. No one wants to see that.
Yeah, no one wants to see that because that's what I'm saying. Is like because that's the whole thing. Is MASH is supposed to be the show about the Korean War, talking about the Vietnam War, and that's at least what I've always been told. I unfortunately have not seen much MASH.
Basically, it is. Yes, MASH is very good. Yes, shout out to MASH.
Thank you, Altman.
Thank you, company. Mr. Altman. God bless you.
But the other thing though is that on top of that is that you, even also with the Army Reserves, if they're even homebound, they may get deployed on like some of the protests that were going on. They may, they're still going to have to they're going to have to cover some really heavy content. I'm not saying you can't do comedies about the military. I've had, and actually a friend of mine, even did a comic about his time in the mandatory service in Finland. It's really, situational comedy. It's perfect. But ooh, that's a time period, and those are two characters that I could see things going very wrong very quickly and very easily, and so on and so forth. Anyway,
you have I was gonna mention this. You had 3 options basically what you could do with the series with this kind of a setup. You either go total anarchy and they're rebellious, and it goes Animal House and Up the Academy, and Wild and them just rebelling against the system and being their oddball lunatic selves in this very staid atmosphere. The other idea, which they probably would have gone for, would be to kind of like make them more normalized, kind of set them up with recruits who would admire them. They try to impress the brass. They give them a girl to chase, probably some upper management girls, probably some sergeant type, and you go in that direction. You make it more Beetle Bailey. You make it more Gomer Pyle and that kind of stuff. But you do that, you take away their zazz, you take away their spirit, So that wouldn't have worked. That's probably the method that was most Marshallian, to put it that way. Speak of the Marshall Milo, which is what they're probably going for. The third way would just be to try to basically redo Laverne and Shirley, but with the boys. It's 2 guys off on their own, trying to fit in this everyday working world where they're just like made to be bland. But when it's over, they bust out. They bust out at night. And it wouldn't have worked. I don't think it would have worked, but I haven't seen the pilot. So nobody's seen the pilot. It's lost. I think it's lost. I don't know if it's completely lost. But it has not surfaced on DVD. It has not surfaced on the internet yet. Maybe someday it will. But that's probably that's what I think of a lot when they bring up he's in the Army Reserve. Eventually he's in the Army Reserves with the girls, which is hilarious. And there is an episode that deals with that, and it's kind of great. But, yes.
I mean, personally, I would do it as, instead of it them being in the Army, or at least call it it's them in the Army, but make it like a mixture of like The Last Detail and Easy Rider as a sitcom where they go AWOL.
Oh yeah, that would have been great. Oh god, the 2 of them just off on Ridiculous Adventures being ridiculous.
And they decide to like start their band, and so whatever they're
Yeah.
like, they act like they're recruiting for the military, but they're actually just trying to. It's like, hey, you play bass? You good with the piano?
Oh my God,
How are your chops?
They could have gone full Blues Brothers with this. They could have had a Lenny and Squiggy a Lenny and Squiggy, Lenny and the Squigtones sitcom, which would have been funny as heck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, the two of them in the band trying to take it around the country, and they're stuck in crappy motels, and they have to deal with groupies, and they have to deal with crappy record executive peoples. Oh,
and
yeah.
The joke would be that it's always the same motel set, and they just all the things. The only thing they change is the bed sheets, like the comforter on the bed is the only thing that's different. It's the same. It's like the same set, but it's always a different hotel or motel.
No, it's the same motel, and it's the same sheets and the same pillowcases and everything. What they change is the paintings behind them.
Oh, that's even better. That's even better. Yeah, because I know that they used to when I watched Supernatural, that was one of the fun things was to see how they would always try to, because there were so many motels in that show, just to see how they would change those up episode to episode.
Yeah, they could have gotten so much out of that. Eventually, when we get to season 5, we'll talk about the whole Lenny and the Squigtones thing. How they tried to make them. They actually did make them a pretty successful live touring act. And it was kind of a running and skip and jump from this into Spinal Tap. Because I think was it Christopher Guest or Harry Shearer who was playing in the backup? I don't know.
It was Christopher. It's Christopher Guest, I believe.
It was Christopher Guest. Yes, it was Guest.
Harry Shearer worked as a writer on the show.
Yes, he did. And guess what else he does on the show? He is the voice you hear over the loudspeaker.
The loudspeaker, yeah. He's the PA guy.
Yeah. He's the PA guy. He's the PA guy always. He also plays Mr. Shots a few times.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh wow. That makes me excited.
It's great. It's great. He voices him. But you hear him in this episode in particular going, Shirley Feeney, our date for Friday has been canceled.
Finally bringing it back to the conclusion of Once Upon a Rumor.
Everything he does in this particular role is really, really funny. And the ironic thing is that the picture you see of Mr. Shots on the wall in the break room?
Oh, yeah.
That is Penny's father. That's Tony Marshall.
Oh my gosh.
Penny
well,
if
you're going to put a reference in somewhere. Yeah.
And he's the executive producer. At least once he docked Penny's pay because he thought she was being a wise ass to him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And that's why Cindy had her expressed insecurities, because it was like a family business in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That actually happened, and it was kind of great. That's a great story. But yes.
So I think with tangents aside, I think, does that wrap up today's episode?
And now it's time for us to give it its grade.
Okay. So Once Upon a Rumor, I was going to give I'll give it a 7.5 to be generous. I'd say for people who are going to be more fans of the show, fans of sitcoms, you're probably going to give it more like an 8. But it's I have to say the date rape joke really took a huge chunk of it out for me, and it's and just generally I'm just not a big fan of, as I said, of the Rumor episode. I watched a lot of 90s kids television growing up, and God, that was everywhere. We're going to teach you about rumors, kids. And believe me, I understood that, and those were good lessons to have, because, oh boy, did I suffer a few. But anyway.
Just don't spread rumors is the ultimate lesson they try to give us there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good for the kids to have it. God, can you imagine being a little kid in the 70s watching this show? Watching this show unfold with your little... They do have Laverne and Shirley and Lenny and Squiggy Barbie dolls, by the way. They do exist out there.
I'm Googling for this. I am. Okay.
I need it. I need a Lenny doll. I need a Lenny and a Laverne doll. I want that before I die. Look at Lenny's jacket. Look at Lenny's jacket. Look at Lenny's jacket. Is all
I'm looking at the. Oh my God.
Why is it trimmed with rainbow trim?
Oh my God.
Why is it purple? Why is it purple? Why is it purple? Why is it purple and magenta? Wow. That's the outfit he wore after he came out. That was in the. That's why the rainbow trim on.
Yeah, it was
But
after
yeah.
that wild key party.
I was gonna say, Michael and David were so very careful about what the characters did on the show because they wanted those characters to represent who they were when they conceived them. And yet, there's a Lenny doll out there with rainbow trim jacket, with magenta sleeves, and a purple base. And that is actually what Mego released, and it is great.
Wow. It's pretty impressive. Those of you at home, I recommend going and taking a look at that.
I love that picture. I love that doll. The facial sculpts are great.
Yeah,
Like,
they're pretty good. Yeah,
and
the one
Squiggy
for
looks like Squiggy outfit-wise. And
yeah.
the Laverne and Shirley look like Laverne and Shirley, but Jesus, I don't know how that jacket made it past into production, because every time I look at it, I go, wow. But yeah, let's see. You just imagine being a kid just watching this. You see the Bachelor Cake episode and all this stuff, and you're just an impressionable kid with your little Magnavox Shots card, going, "Wow, wow, that's what that means. Wow, mommy, can I come out of a cake?" It's interesting to think about what past family entertainment back in the 70s, man. I love it. I love the show.
It's a different time, different place.
This is my big dumb sitcom. I love it. I love it. I love it.
So how about yourself? How did you Once Upon a Rumor? How did you rate it? How did you feel about it? What, especially coming back to it for this reviewing with me?
This is roughly around about an 8.5 for me. This is an 8.5 for me. The rape jokes are... No, I'm going to rate it lower. I'm going to rate it about 7.5. The rape jokes still suck. They still aren't funny. But a lot of the material, the little tiny little bits of material that work, like Shirley skulking around in her little wig, and all the little bits where if you're into Shirley and Squiggy, you're gonna love this episode. Basically, maybe you're gonna rate it higher than us.
Yeah, because I'm not super into it.
Yeah. I'm all the little tiny little bits, like Squiggy grabbing the PA system and apologizing to Shirley finally, and then breaking into the stolen night while providing backup vocals while Laverne laughs. That's all cute. That's very cute. And then them circling back at the very end. The bookend scene is really good, where they talk about rumors and how they hope it changes in the future and how it sucks. And then they start gossiping about somebody else at work. So
yeah, which is an interesting thing, because if that was the point of the show or the point of the episode, they've nerfed their message.
Yeah. The point ultimately is that gossip is terrible. Gossip can ruin your life, but hey, isn't it fun? This is a point that the show will repeatedly come back to. Repeatedly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It comes back in I Do, the noted cocaine and pot episode. It comes back in stuff like, gosh, it's a repeated theme where you shouldn't do this thing, but hey, isn't it fun to do this thing? It's fun to do the thing.
Yeah, it's
kind of like...
God. That's where you can feel like there's a bit of a, what did you call it, a conflict of interest a little bit there.
Yeah.
It's like we want to make a show.
Like ABC told them to have a moral, and they said, okay, we'll have a moral. You're not going to like it, but we'll have a moral.
And we may disagree with it clearly in the way we write it and execute it.
Gosh. But yeah, that is basically the way they set it up. They will come back to this repeatedly. They will make fun of themselves. They'll make fun of the themes occasionally. Sometimes they will be extremely, almost painfully sincere. Sometimes they will... Look Before You Leap is a beautiful piece of art. So is A Visit to the Cemetery, in which they are dead-on serious and tell dead-on important messages in a way that is very good. So It's not like this is a consistent thing. It's interesting how they subvert it, and yet they don't subvert it in a way. So, in the end, this is like a 7. It's cute for all the... It's got some cute moments. It's got some good moments. But in the end, it kind of shoots itself in the foot thematically. In the end, it still has that date rape is funny, ha 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 message, which it doesn't entirely subvert. It tries to
And it
subvert
also
itself.
feels.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go.
It was the other issue is that you can solve your problems with threatening physical violence,
Yep.
which is like one of those. No.
And then the girls don't even solve the problem themselves. Carmine solves the problem.
Yeah, that's another problem on top of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in the end, Carmine quasi solves the problem. What makes Squiggy do it is that Lenny's pissed at him, in a way, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the case, where it's like more of a you lied to me, we're not friends anymore.
Yeah. I think that's exactly what happens. It makes him go run off and grab hold of the PA system.
Yep.
But yeah. In the end, there's some interesting stuff in it. There's some cute little moments in it, but I wouldn't put this in my top 5 when it comes to important episodes or episodes that you need to watch.
But especially not for season 1 for me.
No. It comes above like superfluous episodes.
Right.
Then there will be a couple superfluous episodes in here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not my absolute favorites among what we have. But good.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone, and sticking with us to the end of this wonderfully tangential episode, where we clearly have a lot of nerd feels that needed to come forth. But and if you so definitely make sure you can find the episodes on DVD, watch them on Logo. Currently, as of this recording in April of 2020, and if you want to if you would like to know more, make sure to look us up, Night After Night Pod, on most social media services except for Twitter, where it's Night After Night PC. And there's also a Patreon if you would like to support us in any fashion. And make sure tip your waitresses. We'll be here all month. And I think that covers the main kind of stuff, the housekeeping stuff. Is there anything else I need to do?
No, I don't think there's anything that we're missing here. Just that's our main stuff. You can find us everywhere under Night After Night Pod, except for Twitter. And that's all we got. Oh, you can email us either comments or information or anything you would like to say to us within reason at nightafternightpod at nightafternightpod@gmail.com. Send us your commentary. What do you ship, kids?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. If you watch this show, we would love to know what your ships are, especially if you have any interesting, unique ones. Like, does Jeffrey get shipped with another stuffed animal?
Oh, now you're making me imagine Jeffrey and Boo Boo Kitty running around
I was
together.
literally starting to think about that, and now I want to have like the stop motion animated delight where the two of them run off together and have a day at the park.
Heck.
That'd be so
That'd
cute.
be so cute. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. See, I can write cute things. I can write dramatic things. Funny things, not my thing.
I go all over the map, kids. I go all over the map.
That's right. At some point, we'll get around to the self promotion, but we'll probably say that for another time.
Another time, yeah. There's probably an episode in there where we'll be able to sandwich it in, but that's not important right now. Yes, if you have any feelings about how I'm wrong, please come tell me.
You are Lisa. You are very brave.
Don't call me an asshole. I'll just block you.
Right on. Well, thanks again, everybody, and have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful day, wonderful night, and party on. Be excellent to each other.